Trigger warning.
Welcome back to Pooksbooks, where we bring different groups of friends together, one story at a time. It's the F4 corner, and it's Charisma.
Jean.
Hee hee.
A little warning before we start, this video will contain spoilers. Jean, if you could please start us off.
Okay, we read this book called Know My Name by Chanel Miller. It's a memoir. So she's a survivor of SA in her 20s, and it goes through the whole journey of the aftermath and how she lives through all of that. I need to make a confession that I did not finish the reading. I have 70 pages, but I am going to finish it. I read it on my Kindle. Even from the start, it was a 5-star for me. It was a bit slow halfway through with all the court stuff, but I thought it was just a realistic aspect that she depicted on the book, like as if we're actually going through it with her.
I also read it on my Kindle, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 as well. I believe this is like my second memoir that I've read, and this one in specific, oh my God, all I could say is that it left like a really big impact on me personally. Her story, the way she dealt with things, and all of that, she made you feel everything that she was feeling, and she did that so well. But yeah, she's a great writer. Her words are so powerful, and I feel like everyone should read this book. That is just my opinion.
I didn't read it. I listened to it through Audible. I'll rate this 4.8. It's my first time reading a memoir and anything this long. The reason why I didn't give it solid 5 point was too long for me, little bit. Although I really enjoyed every sentences too, just like how Nana was saying, the author really did a good job too, writing as if you're walking through her like shoes.
I also thought the same thing. If she went like very emotional, like overboard, it wouldn't have been as impactful. She really did it so well. Reading this during election was something else. Oh my God. I teared up a lot. I don't think I go through that when I'm reading fiction. So I guess I'm a nonfiction memoir girly.
Yeah, I also teared up at a couple parts as well. She makes you listen
Mhm.
Mhm.
with everything she says. You don't even think about not listening. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Everything
Yeah.
she says, you just take in.
Sometimes when things get too long and a bit slow, I tend to like just skim through it, but I couldn't do that with her writing. Like I want to digest everything, and
Mm.
it's all so worth it.
And the whole thing with the elections, she talked about it towards the end of the book.
Yeah.
Mm.
The timeline is the same as now,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But yeah, she does go into that. Her take on it is so, I'm like, yes, everything. To what you just said right there, yes.
Mm.
100%. Nothing has changed. Yes. I don't know. I feel like I highlighted way too much to
Me
like.
too.
Me too.
Should we start with like favorite quotes and then we'll go from there?
Oh, I don't know if I can choose one.
Okay. You
I
don't have to
was,
choose just one. You could discuss as many.
Only one?
No, no, you don't have to choose
Oh,
only one.
okay.
Yeah.
mhm.
The one that I was like, all right, stop. When it was after her letter got posted to BuzzFeed and like people's reactions were like blowing up and she got a text from her sister Tiffany and her sister said all it took for any ambiguous or mean or victim blaming comments to
Mm.
disappear was your voice. That like uh, my heart, girl, I don't know how to explain it. When I first read that, I was like, oh my God, she is so right. All those years that she was going through, every single hate comment that she got as Emily Doe, all that hate that she kept within her, all she needed to do was speak her truth for all of
Mhm.
that to disappear. That's, yeah.
I just read that like 40 minutes ago.
At that point, I was started crying and I had to put the
That
book.
kind of like hit me in the head.
Yeah.
Mm.
I kind of wrote notes as I was reading.
You could share it with us.
Wow.
Wait, you're
Oh,
disappearing.
I have something to share. It kind of goes back to what Tiffany said, but I wrote that the day the verdict was announced, it felt like the election day. It was such an obvious decision that they had to make, yet failed to choose the right thing. 6 months over rightful sentencing and a convicted felon over a woman. Like, I know it makes sense to give second chances, but I read something like this and I'm like, do they even deserve second chances?
They don't.
It's just gonna be third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Yeah, 6
But-
months is like so short.
It was so frustrating throughout the book. The fact that he was seen as someone who lost a lot, but she also lost so much, but that was not seen. They all kept saying, oh, he lost this like swimming career, Olympian career that he could have had. He lost the chance of going to Stanford and all of that. It's like, no, like his
Yeah.
actions caused this. It's
Mm.
not like they wrongfully took it from him. There are consequences to his actions. Throughout the book, I was just so angry by the fact that
Mm.
that kept getting repeated by everybody, not just by his lawyers. Everybody was like, for him, lost potential. That's on him. That's why he does not deserve a second chance. That's just my opinion. You
No, you're
cannot,
right.
yeah,
I can't believe people don't see it that way. Like, if you're his family member, sure, like that's like your brother, your son, or whatever. But like,
Mm.
even as a random stranger, like you should know that was wrong.
yeah. Till the last day, he never took accountability to what he did.
Mm.
All he apologized for was drinking. His mistake was not drinking because everybody drinks, you know? Not everybody commits SA after drinking. Like, no, that is not normal. That should not be normalized. The fact that he kept apologizing for only drinking just showed that he does not feel the slightest bit of
Mm.
remorse for his actions. The fact that his sentencing was shorter than the entire trial is so insane to me. Like,
Also, another part that got me so mad, other like people, either they're from like online or like offline, they were kind of accusing of like Chanel for like dressing like that. Why did you drink? Like you kind of put yourself into that situation. It wouldn't happen if you were not doing that. That really got me so frustrated. Yeah.
We as women always hear that kind of stuff. That's it.
sorry, to be here, like behind you, I just get.
He's like, don't forget me.
Every time it gets quiet, I see his little smile in the corner.
You were like kind of covering him, and
Yeah.
then once you move talking, then he like appears smiling slightly.
Yeah, this is very well needed because our topic is very heavy. So we're gonna need
On page 68, she says, I learned it was expensive to be assaulted. But you know, from the beginning, there were some parts when I actually like cracked up. I was like, oh, she's a really funny person. And then I
Yes.
found out that she like did a whole like a comedy stand-up show.
I went on her Instagram page after finishing the book, and I was watching her like day in New York. She's so funny.
Can you send me
Yeah,
her
I'll send
Instagram?
it.
And then there's another part, page 232. It was like the day of the sentencing. Brock's dad was like getting emotional and like making his speech of how he had never committed anything that was violent in the past. And then she said, we had come to Brock's funeral. That was so funny. And then page 239. There are a lot of funny parts. County jail is usually for misdemeanors. You can get 6 months for digging a bonfire pit at the beach, flying a drone, tampering with a fire extinguisher, trespassing on a construction site. We said maybe I should go dig a hole in the sand and get sent to jail to deal with him myself.
That part actually reminded me of your sister. Like
No, witchcraft. Your mom
Yeah.
was witchcraft too.
Yeah. It reminded me of
And one last. 251. It was a news anchor from a major morning talk show. She reached out to Chanel. She said, I'm half Asian too, so we can be friends. This is like me saying, you look pretty when you're sleeping.
Seeing her being like this like optimistic person, traumatized and re-traumatized by like other people, it was really heartbreaking. Yeah.
That I made a note of as well. How made me realize we never know what anyone could be going through. So the least we could do is to be kind. She really appreciated small act of kindness from strangers, whatever that be. So I don't have anyone that I know who went through this. There's so many that she knew and she found out later that who went through SA. I learned that a lot of women go through this.
It's like so crazy how this thing's like so commonly happens.
Yeah, and it's so sad because I had like a talk with about like SA and all of that, and I might start crying, but um she told me that have gone through that, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, but they like move on, you know?" Like the way she was talking about it, it was like it was nothing. Every day that you live through, it comes back to you in some way. And the fact that it's like, oh, it's just a thing that women go through. It's so sad. And I hate that people are conditioned to be so accepting of it happening so often. We hear it and we're like, another essay happened. I'm not saying like we've normalized it like, oh, people should do it, but I'm saying like we're so conditioned to hearing it happening so often
Mm.
that sometimes we forget how much of a toll it takes on that person that's actually going through it. How can you blame the victim when the victim could be anybody?
Yeah.
It could be your sister, your mother, your cousin. It could be anybody. It could be a 10-year-old child. The people who troll online regarding essay or make essay jokes, I cannot stand that whatsoever. But you cannot take any part of it lightly. Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. Yeah. This book healed a big part in me, and I'm just grateful that she wrote it.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, she talks about like how she goes through her life as a SA victim, but I feel like anyone could relate to it. If you
Mm.
have a slight bit of empathy when you go through a big thing that had scarred you in your life, how to go about your life, but still to not forget about the whole thing and how that has impacted you is something that we all could learn. We can't just simply move on. You have to move forward with it.
Yeah.
Mm.
You have to adapt and know how to keep the scar the same size, but to not like make it bigger.
Expand. Mm.
Yeah.
Um, there was like a part towards the end of the book where she was saying once that has happened, you live with it for the rest of your life. Your way of thinking completely shifts. You become cautious of things that you wouldn't even think twice about before. And it's all the little things that take such a big toll on the person that you become after it happens. Like it doesn't define you, but it's a part of you that you're unable to get rid of. You can move forward, but people cannot be like, "Oh, it's whatever. You
Mm.
can move on now. It happened years ago. You can move on." No, it just changes the way you view relationships, friendships, all the trust issues that
Mm.
build because of that one selfish act of
Yeah.
someone who was not considerate about the person in front of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
relate to that. She talks about how when her and her friend hangs out and then she goes to home early, she become the one who checks on like her friend to make sure they got home safe. And one of her friend, like girlfriend, she didn't respond overnight. And she was just like, I was so drunk, so I just slept. I couldn't really saw your message. And she was freaking out, thinking what might have happened for her. That really got me. That trauma comes back when like similar situation happens. That was really like breaking my heart. My favorite quote. Let me change the vibe a little bit. Page 76. What Tiffany says to the boy: the only sorrow I feel for you is that you never got to know my sister before you assaulted her. She's the most wonderful person in the world. That really like made me cry. I was so glad that Chanel still had people around her really supporting and comforting her, thinking really about her. Yeah.
Bring my Jumpio.
I don't know how I'm
Yeah.
gonna edit this episode.
I also really like about Lucas that he was like still there for her. The
He's
men
a
can
real
also,
one.
yeah, in real life
Yeah,
they
he's a
can, their
keeper.
act can change after that happens, you know? But Lucas was not. And also, he didn't say that such thing happened to Chanel to his family. So his family didn't know about that. I think
Mhm.
that's really like showing the he's thinking about her, you know?
Yeah, I was really glad throughout the book that she had Lucas, that she trusted him still. I would definitely appreciate it, but I would still think in the back of my head, when would he change? I don't know if I would have appreciated him as much as Chanel did. From the start, I don't think I would even want that hope that someone would be there for me. But I know, like, I have loving family, I have friends, I have you guys, my pooksies, but I don't know if I would trust my partner. So hopefully I fix that. I think that's something that I need to work on.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because I also feel the same way. Like the fact that we saw how much he was there for her, how
Mm,
considerate he was and all of that. But I also felt it was nothing against him, not
Mm-hmm.
him at all, but
Yeah.
me
but like,
personally, it would have been better if I just didn't have anyone.
That's
Like
me
that's
too.
so sad,
Like
but yeah.
that's what I was thinking too. Like, I'd rather just not have someone to rely on than to get hurt later.
Not to say like they would hurt us, but
Yeah, they
we're
it's just
just
trust issues.
yeah.
very cautious. Yeah. Especially after what happened, I would have needed distance and a lot
Mm,
of space.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. She's also really strong for
Hmm.
mm,
staying in that relationship through all that difficulty that she was in.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he's very, very kind and very strong, very supportive for being there for her through
Mm,
that entire process too. Because
mm,
that must have taken a big toll on him as well, in a different way.
mm,
She went through a lot. And as a person who loves her,
Her family too. They all
yeah,
went through a lot.
yeah.
mm,
Her
So I
family, her sister, yeah.
like she had to deal with everything,
mm,
but also her family. I felt sorry for them.
Helplessness is the biggest emotion that they probably felt.
Hmm.
mm.
Because they have like all this anger, all this built up tension, this sadness that they don't know where to put it. Like they don't know. But they
That's
also
true.
need to help her out. They
Yeah.
also need to show her that they're strong for her.
Hmm.
But they're also
Mm,
feeling this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
her too. Her
Yeah.
having to show them that she's not going through as much as she actually is. Like
Mm,
that's a lot for
Hmm.
both sides.
yeah.
There's a funny part about her mom, a thing that her mom said that actually made me laugh. It was the same page where Tiffany texted her that message. It was when at 1 million Chanel texted her mom, who was at the grocery store, that her story went viral, and all her mom responded with was, "Mama bought 4 different kinds
Oh
of
yeah.
ice cream for you."
Oh.
So cute.
And then 3 fire emojis. I loved it.
Oh.
I love that so much. That made me tear up too, because I was like, we can all relate to this.
That pure love. I've been like listening to a lot of like true crime stories, and oftentimes the victim doesn't want to go on the trial because they don't want to like, face their trauma again, especially when they're really, really young. I really understand why they had to make that choice. But at the same time, I feel like why not catching the chance for the guy to go to the jail? It was about the serial killer story because I know he will be like killing a lot of others later on that, but like going through from the victim's point of view, I found that it's a really, really re-traumatizing process. It takes really long time here to go all through the trial stuff, and also like you have to remember exact things what happened, the timelines and stuff. So I don't know, it was like self-reflection time that I wouldn't really process before.
Even if some of them that actually go to report things, they're not taken seriously because they don't have enough evidence or alibis or
Mm,
all of that. And they don't even have a chance to go through a trial. In the book, Chanel said that a couple of
mm,
times too. Yeah.
It is a long process, and I wouldn't be able to really put myself in their shoes because I never went through it, but I hope all victims push it through
Mm.
and just give them what they deserve.
Just to at least have the criminal, like have the some sort of record they did this
Yeah,
kind of thing, that disadvantage for them for their future.
Well, I do feel like for some, it's very difficult to speak on or to speak up about because of shame. They start to blame themselves first, and then they don't know how to break it to their family.
Mm.
And, you know, maybe the situation that they're in or that they
Mm.
were in when it happened at the moment, they just didn't know how to speak on it. I don't know. I feel like I would understand why they're unable to speak on it. They're
Agree.
unable to admit to something like that happening in the moment. And especially in the case of children, they don't understand. They just know that this doesn't feel right. What just happened to me does not feel right. And
Mm.
I don't know how I could express this feeling to anybody, and they start to feel some sort of fear because you're a child in that position. And yeah,
I was just gonna say, doing it to kids, death penalty, automatically. You don't even get a say.
that's why when women or like any victim come out about stuff like this happening to them years later and people don't believe them, they're like, why did it take you so long to say this? You don't know how much they contemplated things, how much it affected them in the moment. They weren't able to say anything. They were like kind of frozen in time when it came to that. I don't understand how people could do that, how they could question someone
Yeah,
when
it's
they're
very
coming.
ignorant.
Yeah, they're coming to you with this thing that they've kept inside them for so long. And now they're finally able to ask for some help. They're able to find the words to express that they want to seek some sort of justice. You shouldn't be blaming them again. The fact that people always end up blaming them is insane to me. And this
Mm.
happens when, like, this
Mm.
person that did this to them is now
Mm.
trying to become some sort of public figure, and then this victim is speaking on it now. People are always like, well, you're only doing this to get some sort of compensation for it. You're doing this to bring them down. No, they're doing it because they don't want to have to see their face everywhere. They already lived through it without having to see their face. But now that seeing them is more accessible, the
They
fact that
speak
they
up when
speak up.
they can't really stand it no more.
10
They don't.
seconds.
Oh,
Oh, how do
Let's
you
keep
know?
going.
How do you know? Did I record the last one? I have a part
Yeah.
that actually
Mm.
ties into accountability and
Mm.
all of that. It says page 272. One of Brock's friends, she wrote this letter in support of his behavior to show that he's a good person and all of that stuff. I don't know what they call those letters. She said, I'm not blaming her directly for this because that isn't right. But where do we draw the line and stop worrying about being politically correct every second of the day and see that rape on campuses isn't always because people are rapists? This is completely different from a woman getting kidnapped and raped as she is walking to her car in a parking lot. That is a rapist. These are not rapists. These are idiot boys and girls having too much to drink and not being aware of their surroundings and having clouded judgment.
it was a
Says,
girl.
yeah,
Victim blaming is crazy.
It
exactly.
is.
Like, no matter the
Mm.
circumstances or where it happened, the fact that she said, oh, this is completely different from a woman getting kidnapped. Why is that the only definition of rape?
Yeah.
Kids are getting raped by their relatives. What are you going to call that?
Oh my God.
And why do you think that it was idiot boys and girls having too much to drink? No.
You know, like it wasn't every time as I was reading it, but it was like at some point I was like gaslighting myself as well. Because there's so much nonsense from Brooke's side and how the whole system is set up in such favor for criminals and like felons. So I was like, is this actually not a big issue? And as a victim, that would be crazy. I feel like she had some moments thinking that.
Yeah.
It starts to make you believe like you didn't actually go through this, you're just making this up
Mm.
because everybody's acting like
It's
this
nothing.
didn't happen, like it's not that big
Yeah.
of a deal, just move on. No, that's their point in doing all of that. That's what he wanted her to feel. That's what he wanted the jury to feel. Oh, I wanted to tell you about these couple of things that you haven't gotten to yet. This journalist named Julia stated that I can't prove it, but I think Michelle Dober wrote the victim letter. It's so sophisticated for someone who was so young. So she's accusing Chanel of not writing that letter herself.
Which letter?
Her statement.
Oh my
Dang,
God.
what
Oh
an
my God.
insane
Obviously,
accusation.
I'm so flabbergasted by these. Mother. Oh my God. James Charles Rage is like inside me. What is going on?
Another thing, the judge on that case, he's no longer a judge because people came after him, as they should. But
Yeah.
this is his response to it. He said, women are frustrated by how they are treated by society, how they are treated by the criminal justice system. That passion is genuine and needs to be expressed. Chanel was like, expressed was the wrong word. We, the victims, are tired of expression. I expressed a lot in his courtroom. The word we need is acknowledged, take into account, taken seriously. What more
For
did
real.
he want from her?
Someone from Brooke's side. They were like, she didn't see what we see in Brooke or something like that.
She acknowledges the fact that he might have all these good qualities, but he still did this terrible,
Mm.
terrible thing. We already talked about this, but I just wanted to read it the way she put it. She said, for so long, men could really get away with it, but what they did never went away, even if our minds wanted to forget. It became a physical memory. Our bodies kept it in storage no matter how many times our brains took it to the trash. No matter how many times we were told to move on, take the blame, grow up, no matter how many years passed, if we built families, had kids, our kids had kids, still our bodies remembered. Yeah, the way she just expressed these things, I'm like, girl, how do you do this? Like, this is some sort of superpower. The people who have gone through things like this and have not been able to speak on them, I feel like this will heal them,
Yeah.
even without speaking on it ever. Yeah.
Mm.
I really liked this quote on page 219. What I meant was take note of his mental health because, in my experience, when men were upset, lonely, or neglected, we were killed. And I think
Yeah.
that is happening all around the world.
I'm getting a headache.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough quotes.
Last
Ugh.
one to wrap it up. When Chanel says, in response to people's images being ruined after being exposed for rape and all of that stuff, and how it affects those criminals so badly, her response was, my advice is if he's worried about his reputation, don't rape anyone.
For real.
It's
Period.
really that simple. If you're so worried about losing all these good things that you have, don't commit the crime. Why is it
It's
so
that
hard?
simple.
Get some mental help. Anyways.
That was a good quote to end with. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
We can talk about the cover.
I didn't know
Mhm.
what it could mean, but I searched it up and it's kintsugi. It translates to golden repair, a form of Japanese art of repairing broken pottery.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so symbolic.
Yeah, I think I heard about it.
Oh.
You break things so that you can like puzzle it again and then
Oh, I love this book even more. Oh my
It's,
God, thank you for sharing that. I would have
yeah.
never known.
I love it.
Wow.
I like how her name is the same size as her title.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And it really serves the purpose of the actual title, Know My Name.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope she writes more books. I think she would just be an incredible writer.
I
He
agree.
actually is writing children's books now.
I did see. Is
Yeah,
it out yet?
Oh yeah,
Children's book.
Magnolia Wu unfolds
yeah.
it all.
I love that. And
Wow.
because she's also like a illustrator.
She's so good.
Yeah. Hee. Are you ready to announce the next book?
Yeah. The name is Why Fish Don't Exist. I've been wanting to read this book because of the cover. This is a Korean version of it.
Oh.
I got so drawn into that cover. Most of the reviews, they're like, don't look up this book that much before you read.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was really curious about how it's gonna happen because a lot of people like recommends too.
Yeah.
I think it's philosophical.
Oh, it's a nonfiction book. This is so interesting. He taking nonfiction,
240.
science, memoir, history,
Wow.
nature,
And
philosophy.
she was almost having a panic attack when you were choosing your books last time. And look at her now.
I just
I'm
realized I
excited.
don't want to read anything romantic, anything like cotton candy, rainbow
I
sprinkles. It's
would
like you
not want
don't
to waste my
take
time.
anything from the book.
Yeah, what do you learn?
It's just them misunderstanding each other. But I do actually want to read a good romance book, like a
Good
really good.
romance.
Yeah.
I do have One Day in my TBR, but I've never seen the show or the movie.
Is that the one that was recently adapted into a
Yeah,
series?
yeah.
Oh, I watched the show. It's actually so good.
I know. I haven't seen it.
Oh, another warning from the review about the book that we're gonna read. Don't give up in the middle of the reading.
Give up.
It's like
Give up.
don't. Yes.
Thank you.
Excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited, especially because you didn't want to read nonfiction, but now that you're choosing nonfiction,
Yeah.
it's
I
so
feel
cool.
like this book club is changing me
Go.
a little bit.
But yeah, this was a really great and healing discussion.
Mm.
I'm
I
gonna
might send some more stuff once I actually finish it.
mm. That's it for today's F4 Pook Spooks. Keep
And we'll see
reading.
you.
Oh,
I got too excited. I was like, my time to shine. And we'll see you.
that's it for today's F4 Pook Spooks. Keep reading.
I'll see you.
And the next chapter.
Bye
Bye.
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 Bye, Jumpio.